there's a waiting list, or there's cases that need to be seen today, or my gosh, there could be. So why? And I think this is one of the difficulties of working in the area where we work, because we are all talkers. And the staff that we work with are all talkers. But in the meantime, there is work to be done. And to help people to have a safe place, to have the conversations, to deal with this stuff, but at the same time, to also do the work that has to be done there, and deal with the children and the families and the whatevers that have to be dealt with as part of the agenda for the day. Sometimes the best thing for people is to keep them busy, too. I'm sorry, but I think that's part of what has to happen.
Let me add another piece.
Yeah.
It also can prevent them from doing the work. And it can prevent them from doing the work effectively, or with the kind of energy that you're looking for. So declaring some of that stuff, that elephant, identifying that elephant, will move things on a much more positive. It's like pulling the whatever out of the dam and letting it go.
I agree entirely, but at the same time, I do think that we have to be mindful that there is a bigger agenda that the public and the funder and everybody else expects that we're managing as well.
We're not here to get along, we're here to get work done.
Well, hopefully we're here for both.
But if we're not getting along, we're maybe not doing the kind of work that needs to be at the level at which we're able to attain. But if you create that environment and then put someone, if I may say, Louise, it's someone with your experience and so on in the middle of it all, and expect them to be able to manage it, that's a tall order.
It is.
And that's a case for, in my case, in my understanding, that's a case for mentorship. A place where you can go and talk to somebody and say, outside the organization, in a place of safety, be able to say, this is really making me crazy, or this is driving me crazy. When they do that, and to be able to say it with some safety and have someone that you can share that with and talk with. So I would strongly suggest some mentorship to assist you with that. This isn't an easy task in an organization that's been traumatized, as that agency has. Speaking of mentorship, so we covered all the areas of people in terms of leadership challenges that you've got. Have you got any more that are bouncing around?
We didn't talk about board.
Oh, you're right. Board. No problems there, is it?
And sort of staying in sync, and how to influence boards in a certain direction as well, and also accept their influence and direction, which boards are charged to do in governance. So how to keep the responsibilities aligned, and I know we've had that discussion too, Dean, in terms of setting up a new organization and the tasks of the board versus the tasks of the ED or CEO, as the case may be, and how do you work for the board, but also create a sense of partnership with the board in terms of the direction of the agency and moving forward, and how do you keep the board challenged and keep the agency organization challenged within that partnership. So you're challenging yourself, you're challenging that the organization remains challenged, but that you also maintain enough stability within the organization that it can do well with what its primary tasks are.
Yeah, you said that really well. It's a balance, isn't it? What about boards? Nicola, you were talking about boards last time we were here. How are you doing with your board?
I think for us, we're in a period of transition. I think all organizations this time of year are in that period of transition because you've got new board members potentially coming on, and suddenly for us, we have two long-standing board members that will be their terms end next year. So from a historic perspective, from a succession planning perspective, there's all those sorts of things that are going through my mind, because it's also creating a new relationship and what you can do to support the new people coming in, and providing that sort of support, and how much information, because I think we're always, as EVs, and it goes back to Hannah's comment in terms of information. You look for board members, and board members come on board, and you don't want to overwhelm them to start with in terms of the information information and their responsibilities. But at the same time, they're also going to be making key decisions. As you know, each board meeting, they're making decisions. So how do you balance that, particularly when you have an influx of new board members coming in, and approval of financial statements, for example. You know, if board members are coming on this time of year, that they are feeling comfortable in terms of how an organisation is run. And then, you know, going on, we're also coming into our strategic planning process too, and you know, getting those new board members up to date as to where we've been and where we would like to go. And again, that's that balance, because that's a very board-driven process. So as an executive director, you know, where do you stand as help and guide them through that process?
What's the role of it? You mentioned, I can't remember exactly, do I mentor them or coach them or help the board?
Influence.
Influence. What's the role of an executive director vis-a-vis their board? That's one that you mentioned.